Hey, friends, and welcome back to this episode where we answer one of your questions. Thank you for sending them in.
Yes. And today's question is, how does one spouse save the marriage when the other is still in denial and shame? Do you resonate with that?
Yeah, especially this one spouse who really wants to save the marriage and the other spouse is not.
Yeah. I've been told and have read in many places that if it's even only one spouse who wants to save the marriage, it's possible through God. My husband is in denial of his infidelity and is completely checked out. We're proceeding towards divorce, but I really am against it. I am in so much pain, I want to die. I'm not even thinking of the kids. I just want the pain to stop. Is there
Oh,
hope?
that pain just hits me.
Yeah.
And I imagine a lot of you may be experiencing some similar pain, some grief that you're going through. And I imagine it is exponential when you have a spouse who is not engaged in the healing process. Like, my heart really goes out to you and this pain that you're experiencing. And I know that God would want to wrap his loving arms around you. He would want to give you supernatural peace that would guard your heart and your mind. He would want you to know that he has you and that he would want you to go and run to him.
Yeah, he wants to be the one to comfort you. And I think it's an opportunity where he's calling you to a deeper level of relationship with him during this time. Like, he wants to be the one to walk beside you in what you're going through. And I think a big part of that is grief. You know, you're probably experiencing a high level of grief right now.
Yeah.
And that is the pain that you're feeling in your heart. I really can remember what that pain was like. It literally felt like a knife was in my heart. And I truly believe our physical heart feels that pain of betrayal. And that's why it's a very much a physical thing that's happening in the body as well. And so I just want to encourage you to grieve. Let your body grieve in the way that God designed us to grieve, which means we've got to get that out. Sometimes it just looks like a private time where you can just cry and get that pain out. Maybe it's with a trusted friend or counselor or mentor or someone in your life that's really for you and for marriage. I know for me in the grieving process, there were multiple different ways that I needed to grieve. And so we're going to put a little link up here to a playlist that we did on how to grieve while you're walking through betrayal and what the grieving process really looks like.
Yeah. Also, what's coming in my mind is giving yourself grace in what you're going through, being okay with where you are and what you're feeling. A lot of times, us as humans, we want to push away these feelings. I don't want to feel sad anymore. I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to feel disconnected. I don't want to feel this way anymore. And so I want to push it away. And what we resist persists. So I just want to encourage you also to be okay with wherever you are right now and with whatever you're feeling right now. Because you can't be anywhere other than where you are, and you can't feel any other way than how you feel currently.
Right.
But once you allow it to be there, this is what's amazing, is it passes through you. It passes through, and you can go on to the next stage of your grief.
It's really easy that when I'm looking at, I want to save this marriage and my spouse doesn't, it's really easy to try to control that.
Good point.
And I see this in a lot of the couples that we work with is you have both spouses, right? And they're side by side. And when one spouse moves away, meaning disconnecting from the marriage, a lot of times what happens is this spouse over here is like, no, wait, don't leave, don't leave. And the other person is like, I stepped away for a reason.
Right.
Not that you are the reason, but they have something going on for them that won't allow them to connect to the marriage. And a lot of times, because this spouse is pursuing and controlling, you are preventing and getting in the way of God really working in your spouse's heart. And so what I have seen is just really effective is when one spouse pulls away or disconnects from the marriage, the other spouse can stand firm and put yourself into the Lord and put yourself into your own healing and going to the Lord for him to heal you, not your spouse.
That's right.
So what happens often is that when this spouse gets the space for God to actually work, when we're not in the way, sometimes they come back. And that marriage is a more beautiful, reunited, restored marriage. And that's what God would want for marriage. But sometimes we get in the way of God working. And so that's what I really want to encourage you is I know you're in pain and I know your heart is hurting, but it's time to really let go. It's not the same thing as giving up.
Good point.
It's letting go of control and surrendering over to God's will for this, for your marriage.
Here's something that just popped in my mind is it could be an attachment to we will heal this way. This is how we are supposed to heal. And that attachment gets in the way with a commitment that the marriage actually heals. Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about is if there's an attachment to how we're supposed to go about the healing, then it's hard to be committed to the entire marriage being healed or the person being healed. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit more about just a few things that you can be doing while you're surrendering and releasing control of your spouse. So we've already talked about you can grieve. You can really start to take care of yourself. What does good self-care look like during this time? The second thing is letting go of control, letting go of your spouse, and really surrendering your will over to God's. Another way, number 3, is you can pray for your spouse. You can pray that God will open their heart and their minds to see something new, to see the marriage that they're losing, and that God will pursue them and bring the sin out of their life that needs to come out. Yeah. I mean, I remember praying so many prayers over you and your heart when we were in some of the darkest days. And I've watched God answer those prayers, but it wasn't in the timing that I wanted. I wanted it back in 2014.
Right.
And, I had to be very patient with the way that God wanted to work in his life. And so praying over that, praying that God will give you the strength to continue to pray over someone that has caused such great pain. But in that prayer, that is intimacy with the Lord. And that's when I would receive the most healing, was when I was pouring my heart out to him and begging him to rescue my husband, to rescue our marriage and restore it to be something so much better.
Yeah. Pray expectantly. Pray believing that it will happen. It says in the Bible, those two things is we have not because we ask not. And also Jesus says, pray believing that it will happen, and it will happen. Mm-hmm. And so those two things in prayer really do work. Prayer works. I want to add on to that is that vertical relationship with God is the priority. I've got to fill myself up with God so that I can take good self-care, what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Got to have that vertical relationship with God in place, knowing that that's my priority. That's who fills me up.
Another thing you can do is join a support group. It's so important to have good support around you. As you're walking through this, you need good, godly friends. You need mentors, counselors, whoever you can bring onto your team to help you get through this.
They love you. They love Jesus. They are for your marriage.
Yes.
That's
it's
important.
Really important because as you're walking through this, there's going to be things you can't talk to your husband about. So you're going to need someone that you can lean on to really help you process through. Remembering that what's inside of us is in the dark. That's where the enemy can really crank that spiritual warfare up, right, that we're constantly under attack after betrayal. But by getting us a great support group or having a great friend that you can just confide in really helps get the darkness into the light. And that's where truth is. And so having somebody that will speak truth into you during this time and be really honest with you, that's so important. I needed people to say, hey, you're being a victim. You need to snap out of it. Or I needed people to say, it's okay to cry.
Right.
It's okay for you to just sit in this and feel all of the pain. I didn't know how to process. So I was seeking out people who have been through what I've been through and are on the other side of it. And that was really super helpful for me. And so we want to just add in a resource for you. It's a support group for wives called Journey Beyond Betrayal. And it's where other wives have come together who are all going through this, and they're all at different stages, and they support and encourage one another. And that is so valuable.
We have seen the impact that this has had, and that's the reason that we're recommending it, is
yes,
wives are able to get together with other wives who have experienced betrayal, and they're led by a leader who's experienced betrayal. And then she has the ability to effectively lead this group in a way that creates lasting healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. We'll put a link here.
Great support group.
And then the fifth thing you can do is we're going to actually gift you the course Walking Through Betrayal for submitting this question. And I just want to encourage you, go through that course. That course is a step-by-step process on how you can effectively walk through the healing journey. And it's built for couples to go through it together, but it's also designed where one individual can go through it and just watch the videos that are labeled out for you. So for the rest of you that are watching, we want to encourage you to go check out that course as well. We have gotten feedback that it is really helping couples. And we love being able to support you in that way to help you walk through this healing journey. This is a journey that is uncharted waters. But when you have a path that's laid out for you, wow, it just helps.
It's a guide. It's a great step-by-step guide that really helps all of us in a God-honoring way walk through the healing process of betrayal. And we would love for you to try that out too. You know, one of the things that really touched me in that is that she needs hope at the end. And I remember vividly, October 2018, I am going to my first men's group. It is 5 a.m. in the morning, and I go walking in there and I'm sharing my story. I am raw, and I am like, I feel hopeless. And a buddy of mine, I was so valuable, Adele. A buddy of mine said, hey, here's my story. I've been through something similar like 2 years ago. I felt hopeless and somebody gave me their hope. And he said, I have hope for you because I've been through it and I know something's on the other side. And so he gave me his hope to have for that time. That was so valuable to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to offer to you guys is it could seem like it's hopeless. It could seem like, how could anything good come out of this? And Romans 8:28 is very clear of how God works things out for the good of his children.
But we have to be willing.
We do. So I want to share with you, there is hope. There is hope. And it does require walking through some pain to get to the other side. We're going to have to walk through the valley, but God never leaves us, never forsakes us. He is always there. In fact, I love when you talk about when you're in your deepest, darkest time, you felt the most closest to God.
Oh, I remember on the floor crying out, begging God to help me, that I did not know how to get through this. It was the most comfort and kindness and gentleness and love that I've ever felt from him.
Yeah.
And I don't think I had the opportunity to feel that prior because I really was doing life pretty well with him just on the back burner. But for the first time in my life, I was hit with something that I knew I could not get through on my own. And he was there waiting for me to come running to him. And that's what I want to encourage you. Go run to him. He wants to comfort you during this time. He wants to walk with you during this valley that you're in. And on the other side of it, there's growth. And even if your marriage doesn't work out, there's still something better for you on the other side. And that's what God wants for you. He wants healing in your life and healing at a heart level, not just surface stuff. That stuff comes back to haunt you.
It does, yeah.
So it needs to be root level, heart level healing that happens.
Maybe you have a question that you want us to answer. Please submit them to us. Go to our website, thenoblemarriage.com, and there's a section in there for question and answers. We would love to have the opportunity to answer your question.
If we choose your question to be answered on our channel, we'll send you a free course that will support you best from our online academy. When you guys engage with us and send us your questions, it really helps us know, what are you dealing with? We want to help and support you and where you are right now. So thank you again for submitting your questions. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for this episode. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
We want to thank you for submitting this question and that it...
Both of those things.
So thank you for submitting this question. And because of that, we're going to gift you
Free toaster.
No.
You're not getting a free toaster.
You stole my...
You're not getting a free toaster.
Go through it and just watch the videos that portray... that are... And so we want to encourage you to take that... something. We'll send you a free gift. We'll send you a course that's going to... We'll send you a free code to help...
A toaster, a free toaster. We're sending you a free toaster.
We'll send you a free...
Toaster.
Stop saying toaster. Let me work through it.